change in the way the United States conducts itself in the world. The kind of democracy that America wants the world to espouse, the freedom of thought, association, religion, cannot but find resonance in other parts of the world and with other peoples. While values are plural and the ways of daily activities are plural, the accommodation and allowance of these differences and avenues for these discourses to happen are the key to the peace that we all desire. It cannot be otherwise. And so in the end, it is not a question of whether America's power is declining or rising. It is a question of whether America can harness the collective energies of the world, promising and giving to the rest of the world, to the peoples of the world, the kind of good life which it is giving to its own citizenry. Thank you.
Dr. Carlos, do you want to entertain some questions, please?
Yes.
Could you please name the 4 major ethnic groups of Afghanistan?
I cannot name them. I don't know.
So this is really, really important to understand Afghanistan. And I listened to you preach about American foreign policy in Afghanistan for a long time. And I say, if you cannot name the 4 major ethnic groups, you know as little about Afghanistan as you do about computers. And I came here for a talk on the Philippines. And I feel very insulted at your preaching this.
I'm not preaching. Maybe you were not here when I said that I decided to change my topic. And I'm not preaching.
You're talking about, you don't know the 4 major...
Excuse me, sir. Sir, we have another question.
No, let him speak. I mean, isn't that the essence of democracy? But when we discuss, you're not supposed to find out whether I know the 4 tribes of Afghanistan, whether I know the percentage of Filipinos here in GAM, do you know how many languages we have in the Philippines? It's not the case. We are here to collide ideas with each other. That is what academic discourse is all about, We're not here to insult each other. I didn't come here to insult you.
Are you ready for the next question?
I was interested by your list of security problems facing humanity today. You listed many that were very important. You said degradation of the environment, a loss of grasslands, pollution, I think, deforestation, and then you had in there burgeoning population. And I thought it was quite interesting that that was listed, burgeoning population, as if that was but one more problem. But I wonder if that might be the fundamental problem. Why are there all those other issues about pollution, loss of grasslands, degradation of the environment? Isn't it because the population is burgeoning? That seems to me to be the elephant in the kitchen that nobody has noticed. And the fact that you sort of passed over it as if it was just one more issue. We know that competition for resources creates conflict. Crowding creates aggression. And what about institutions that support not controlling population? For example, coming from the Philippines, what about the Catholic Church and its stance against birth control? And I wonder if that isn't really a fundamental problem facing everyone today with climate change that is just being quietly ignored. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
There was no deliberate attempt to pass it over lightly. In fact, that is a separate debate altogether. And but I don't think this is the present forum for that kind of debate. I'm sure you can debate either way of that discourse about whether in fact population is the one bringing about this degradation and the like. But at the same time, other analysts would like to think that the kinds of people whom you want not to grow would be certain kinds of people who are not quite acceptable to you. But as I said, that's a separate debate altogether. By the way, for the gentleman who asked the question, tomorrow I'm going to speak to the UP Alumni Association, and that is where I'm going to talk about Philippine politics and the rest of the factors and forces that affect our politics. And maybe if the UP alumni would be care to invite the gentleman, please be there. So I'm sorry to disappoint you for today's forum.
We have another question down here.
Yes, my name is Homer, and I'm a student here at UOG, and I wanted to address this question mainly to the gentleman over here. I mean, I understand you're trying to focus on the understanding of Afghanistan and different regions, and even though I'm a student here, I'm a former military member who has been deployed to the Middle East, and I'm very surprised the way you addressed this scholar here regarding this, because I think the main issue of her conversation here and meeting with us is to say how much unnecessary war is, and how the allocation of all the money from the government of Philippines and all the other governments like American and throughout the whole world, how that's kind of, I would say, pointless, because we're not here to fight with one another. We should be here to love one another and to make this planet a better place, you know. So yeah, there's different tribes in Afghanistan. There's different tribes in many places, like here in Guam, we have the Filipino community, which is a big part of the university. We have the military community, which is a big one also, and the Chamorro community, and we coexist with one another perfectly. I mean, there's problems, but there's no war. And even though Afghanistan has that, 4 different cultures, with many different religions, with many different problems with drugs, how opium is one of the main producers of the country, and corruption, as happens everywhere. You know, they can meet up somewhere, and there's no war here, there's no war in other places like, you know, US, even though there's different states. But over there, we do have this big problem. So I think I'm very surprised how you address her, because she's here to say that it's unnecessary to spend all these millions of dollars to raise up the military, to have U.S. soldiers in over 120 different countries throughout the whole world. And I think that's why she should be respected for that. Thank you. Well, not at all. I mean, to ask for knowledge, it's always a respectful question. I mean, it's always beneficial for somebody to know the 4 tribes of Afghanistan. It's always beneficial for somebody to know how to operate the computer. But the thing is that we're not here to find out how much she knows, because she already went through all these steps. We're here to try to better our world. Right. That's why university conversations happen like that.
Again and again, for American foreign policy in Afghanistan. What is the answer, and how does she know more than the Pentagon?
Gentlemen, this is a lovely debate. Could you take it up with yourselves later?
Good evening, and thank you for coming to Guam and honoring us with your presentation. My name is Hope Cristoval. I've frequently gone up to the United Nations on behalf of the Chamorro